experience, just to share the students' perspective as well. And of course, feel free to ask any questions later on. So I'll go ahead and start with the presentation. So the Blue Mountains Hotel School, our main campuses are in Australia. We have campuses in Sydney and Melbourne, but we actually also have a China campus in Suzhou. So we offer transfer programs, which I'll touch on a bit later. So our school is accredited by the Australian government. So it's internationally recognized in Australia and also worldwide. We are currently the #1 hotel management school in Australia based on the QS World University rankings. So for hotel management in Australia, we're currently #1, and in the world, we are number 18 now, so still top 20. And our highest ranking criteria is actually employer reputation. So we know that all of our students who graduate, they'll be recognized by all of the international hotel brands, which will be the ones employing them. And as you can see, we're widely recognized by all of the official corporate hospitality bodies, for example, the ICE, UNWTO, and Institute of Hospitality. So the main features of our program is that our bachelor course is only 2.5 years. So within 2.5 years, they'll get a full bachelor's degree, including internships, which I'll talk about more as well later. We also have a master program, which runs for 2 years. And the main selling point of our program is that we focus on theory and practical. So most people, when they think about hospitality, they'll think about first Switzerland, because that's where it came from, where it originated. But we actually adopted that Swiss model in teaching hospitality, which is theory and practical. So we have the theoretical knowledge, the practical skills, whereby instead of putting the students through just the normal classes, lectures, we actually have hands-on workshops, putting them through the actual doing instead of just hearing and learning about the theory concepts. But for example, we actually put them through how to make a good cup of coffee, everything from grinding the beans, the whole process, frothing the milk, and even some latte art as well. And then we have the professional and personal development, whereby we have a success coaches team where they actually assist the students from the beginning to the end in finding their placements, looking for work internships and everything, writing their resume, helping them with that, even practicing interview skills and all of that. So this will actually help them professionally in how they approach the working life. So firstly, we actually only have one bachelor program. It's a Bachelor of Business focusing in hotel and resort management. So essentially, it's a business degree. They'll still have the basic principles in accounting, marketing, entrepreneurship, business law, economics, everything, focusing it in the hotel and resort management industry. So if you can imagine, every box with each color is an equivalent of 6 months. So term 1 and term 2 is a 6 months period. Is there like a...
You can use the mouse.
Okay, so yeah, okay, I shouldn't click. Term 1, term 2 is an equivalent of 6 months. So they'll spend the first 6 months studying in our Lyra campus. And the Lyra is actually located 2 hours away from Sydney CBD by train, and it's a direct line straight to our campus. So first 6 months in the Lyra campus. After that, term 3 and term 4, the second 6 months will be spent doing their internship. And this is a paid internship as well. They are free to choose whichever brands that they want to work for. It could be Hilton, Marriott, Starwood, or even the location as well. It's up to them. So they want to stay within Australia or move overseas, completely up to them, and we'll back them up with supporting them with the resume, interview, and everything. Then moving on to term 5 and term 6. Another 6 more months of studying, also in the Lyra campus. And then after that, you have term 7, term 8, another internship, and finally term 9 and term 10 for their last 6 months of study. So what will they actually study? So in the LIRA campuses, they actually focus on the practical side of food and beverage and front office and housekeeping. So we take them through, as I mentioned, about how to set up the coffees, but also fine dining service. How do you coordinate with the kitchen staff in getting the food out to your guests, taking orders, managing the tables yourselves, and preparing all the mise en place and everything. In the front office segment, we'll teach them the ins and outs of Opera, which is the main central reservation system which most international hotels use nowadays. So we'll train them on these things so that when they go out to the internship, when they go out to look for part-time work, they don't have to relearn these things anymore. So it's good news for them and also for the employer, because the employer will look at our students and think, okay, this student knows what he's doing now. We don't have to spend more money and time in training this person and putting on the effort that we would for a person who doesn't know the basics in what we do. So that's a good selling point for our students and a good advantage to have as well. And then in the Sydney campus, they focus more on the executive strategy planning side of hotel management. And actually, a bonus point as well is that when they are in our LIRA campus, we actually provide food and accommodation for all students. So that is a separate cost in the fee schedule, which I'll talk about later as well. But everything from 3 meals a day, their rooms, there'll be a twin share room, laundry, Wi-Fi, everything will be included for our students in the LIRA campus. And you can see there 4 intakes per year. So very convenient for the student, whichever stage or whichever programs, pre-U programs that they're doing. January, April, July, and September, we have intakes. So entry requirements quite straightforward. We just need them to have an equivalent of year 12, in high school or pre-U or foundation, but a minimum of year 12, and an English level of 6.0 or equivalent to IELTS. So they can take PTE, Cambridge, any of the ones where they can get a 6.0 or equivalent. Alternatively, we actually do provide a free English test for applicants as well. So it's similar to IELTS. They've got the 4 categories, speaking, writing, and everything, but it'll be online, so they can take it in your office, and it's free as well. So they just have to submit application and they can take the online test. We also do have a master's in hotel management, but I know Malaysia is not a very master's focused market, so I'll just talk a little bit for this. It's only a 2-year program with 1 6-month internship. So all of our programs have internships, bachelor degree, 2 internships for 6 months each, master's degree, 1 internship of 6 months. And for the master's, we actually have the option of going to either Sydney or Melbourne, or even both as well. So if the student wants to do 6 months in Melbourne, then transfer 6 months Sydney, can as well. For students who may not achieve that 6.0 score in their IELTS, we do provide English language programs for them in our LIRA campus. So for the bachelor students, they'll just do the English program and then straight away move on to the bachelor's in the same vicinity. So every 0.5 score less than a 6.0, they have to take 10 weeks of English classes. So we do have scholarships for this as well, so I'll talk about that later. And as you know, since it's Australia, once they've completed at least a minimum of 2 years of study in Australia, they are entitled to apply for the 2 years post-study work visa. So additional 2 more years to stay back after they graduate. It's a good bonus point for them. And of course as well, in Australia, you can work up to 20 hours per week when you are studying. So this is independent of the internship. So internship, they can work as much as they want, unlimited hours, but the 20 hours per week applies to when they're actually taking the classes. So internship is not limited to this. we are a hotel school, we have a lot of the industry placement partners, which our students can opt to join as part of. So when they actually go onto our system, student services, they can actually see all of these brands and their relevant positions, locations, job descriptions, and then from there they can really choose which one they want to be attached to for their internship. And so we have all the international brands in our partners list, example Accor, Hilton, Sofitel, Hyatt, but we also have ICC Sydney, so not just hotels, but convention centers, Mantra, service apartments, and we also have something called a GPP Graduate Privilege Partners Program. So this is actually a special program that we developed alongside these international hotel chains, whereby typically in hotels, there's this position called a corporate traineeship. So what that means is that the student, if they get that role, they won't only be confined to doing one role throughout their whole internship or throughout their whole job there. They can actually do jobs or take time to doing jobs in different departments in the hotel. So for example, not just front office and food and beverage, which are the main operational roles in hotel, but also even marketing or human resource or finance. They'll get to explore all of these different departments. And the goal of why hotels have these positions is so that they can train the student to understand in more detail what all of these departments do and how they contribute to the big picture of hotel operations. And it's essentially a fast track management role. So the point is within this role, within 1 year, 2 years, you're within at least a management position already. So, and we have that GPP program to promote fast track development for our students to get into those corporate training roles. Good program. And to qualify, you just have to be a high performing student to apply for these. So for industry placements, most of our students do the placements in Australia, but that's not limited. That's not their only limited choice. They can actually go whichever countries that they're interested in pursuing as well. So 5% of our students complete their internship overseas. And just to give you an example of where our students actually do the internships, one of them, so she worked as an executive club attendant at the Sheraton in Sydney. So looking after VIP guests, maintaining the lounge area, making sure everything's running smoothly. Second one, he was a butler in one of the island resorts, Cayman Island, and he was looking after. So butlers are mainly focusing on individual groups, individual families. Okay. Can you still hear the background noise? Maybe it's the laptop. Okay. Yes, please let me know if there's any more disruptions. Okay. Yes, so, and I don't know. Okay, thank you. So, and then the last one is, so she was an executive club attendant in 4 seasons. So for outside of Australia, one of our students went to New Zealand and worked in the Matakari 5-star boutique hotel as a front desk officer. So doing most of the check-in, check-out, settling guest accounts. And the second one, he was a front office and food and beverage intern, I think in India. Because I should scroll down. Okay, it's in India. So, and the last one, she went to Hong Kong and became an event coordinator. So very diverse roles that they can go into just in their internships. A lot of the misconception about hotel management programs as well is that people think once you study hotels, you're stuck in hotels forever for the rest of your career. But a lot of times that's not true. And in terms of what you actually learn, you're not learning just about hotels, but rather you're learning about business management and essentially service, because hotels, it's a service industry. What you're doing is you're serving guests, you're working with people from all different cultures in order to, no matter what role you go into, food and beverage or front office, even the corporate roles, marketing, HR, you're still working with different people to achieve guest satisfaction, achieve profit for the hotel. So in service is one of the biggest industries in the world. So in that case, there's a lot of variety in terms of jobs you can go into later on. So it's a very international career as well. Just within one international brand, you have maybe hundreds of properties all around the world. So it's easy for students or people working in hotels to transfer from one property to another, depending on the lifestyle that they choose. You can go also into tourism, more of the planning side or more of the execution, running tour operations. Can go into island resorts, because a lot of these hotels, they like to be in very beautiful areas. So island resorts or mountain sites, ski resorts, or even like regional areas as well, where there's a lot of nature. So it can take them to a lot of different places like this. So resorts and hotels. Yeah, so even culinary or restaurant management careers, event management, and also essentially managing your own business. So we had a few students open up their own bar, their own cafe in their home country after finishing up this program. So that's an option as well. So here's just, we'll send the slides to you. So these are some of the list of jobs that are available to them. But if you look at the alternative industries, there's actually other industries which you can go into, for example, banking, retail, luxury brands, education, essentially anything that encompasses or includes service, they're able to go into that because the background that they have, the skills that they develop are essentially within the service industry. So a lot of possibilities. We have a lot of diverse students in our campuses. So most of them are from Asia. Our top nationalities are Vietnam, Indonesia, China, Korea, Taiwanese, and then we have the local Australians, New Zealanders making up about 28%, and the rest from Europe and America. So these are just some photos of our Lira campus. So we are not a very big school physically because we only have one bachelor program, and our Lira campus is only for our bachelor students. So, and because we only have one program, at most we only have about 400 students in the campus at one time. As you can see, it's a very laid back, nature-centered campus, a lot of greenery around. Essentially, it's in the mountains. So you can see our students in uniform. So they'll have to wear uniforms during their classes, as you can see with the two guys on the right. And on the left-hand side, that's their practical uniform. So when they're doing food and beverage service or training, they have a different set of uniforms as well. And you can see they have the fine dining training, setting up their own tables, managing them. And also we have the cafe model restaurants as well. We actually have 3 different restaurants of the cafe style, fine dining, and also buffet. And we have the barista station where they actually train their coffee making skills. It's quite a popular treat for the students as well because during their downtime, they can just come in, make themselves a cup of coffee, and go to class. So they take turns doing shifts all throughout these different outlets. And of course, we have the Sublime Bar, which is where we'll train them on mixology, tasting different types of wine, liqueur, making mocktails and cocktails. And then we have the front office area. So behind the desk, we have all of the computer stations set up to as a training station for them to learn opera. and also train with the guests as well. We have the housekeeping. So you might get this question, students asking you, okay, why do I have to learn how to make a bid when I'm doing a degree program? So basically, we want them to learn about every single detail from the basic all the way from the ground up in terms of operations. So even something as simple as making a bid, they have to know this if they want to go into management roles in the future. Because if you're one day a general manager and you don't even know how to make a bid, and you have one room left, and let's say this guest is checking in, and that's the only room that you have, but you don't have enough staff, you not knowing how to make a bid is not seen as a very good thing, like in terms of how your employees view you as well. So that's why we train them on every single detail. And in our campus, we also have recreational activities. We have the games room, the pool table, ping pong, movie theater, swimming pool. And these are examples of the accommodation in our Lira campus. So we have a twin share room, whereby one room will only have 2 people, and every room will have its own bathroom. We'll have 2 separate study desks in each room for each student, 2 separate wardrobes, and then there's a divider in between each bed as well. So there's still that little privacy area. And sheets, towels, everything's all provided. We also have a hotel which we own next door to our Lira campus called Nesuto. So this is a real hotel with real guests staying, and it's actually operated by our students. So our students are the ones checking them in, arranging the rooms for them, and it's a good practice for them even before their internships to get to experience serving real paying guests. In the mountains, you might think, okay, there's not much things to do since it's far away from the city, but our students regularly organize things like sports games, excursions to the winery, even karaoke night. And then there was one time during exam week, to relieve the stress of the students, they actually brought in the dogs from the pound just to come and visit the students. So very different things that they'll do. And so this is actually what you'll see when you walk just 15 minutes away from our campus. You have Sublime Point and Lincoln's Rock, which are the famous landmarks within that vicinity. And it's a very beautiful area. A lot of students come here after classes just to chill, have some cheese, look out at the views. So it's a very peaceful, serene, and tranquil area to study. There's a chat. Oh, okay. Yes. And just to give you a quick glimpse of our Sydney campus as well, it's located right in the middle of the city where Town Hall is. It's just right above the train station. And it's a more corporate environment. So our students they don't have to wear uniforms, but they'll still be in professional attire. And this is to maintain the standard of grooming within our students. Because what we see is that even when our students go for interview, we want them to be comfortable and familiarized with looking professional already, even before they start working. So this is what sets our students apart from others who don't really focus as much on grooming. Lecturers, and so it's very central. Outside from our campus, directly you see the Town Hall building and the QBB. So just to show you some of our alumni and where they're currently working now. So we have students all over the world working in hotels in Singapore, England, Germany, Dubai, Taiwan. And in terms of statistics, so we have 97% of our graduates who actually find a job just after 3 months of looking. And in this current economic situation, that's quite a good statistic to have for our students. And in terms of the career progression, it's a very fast-moving career as well. So if the student asks, okay, what's the career path like? Within 12 to 18 months is usually about when depending also on your skill set and your value to the company as well. Within that time, you could be coming from a regular officer position to a team leader or supervisor position already. So it's a very fast track, fast moving career. Just to give you some more examples of the career paths that our students take. So in the first one, Jack is from Indonesia. He was a front office manager for just less than 2 years. Then he became the assistant manager, hotel manager in Sydney, then went into revenue management. So this is more dealing with finance, profit making for the company, for the hotels. For 3 years, then moved to Bali, became the regional director of revenue. Just after 2 years, became the director of revenue in Singapore. So he took the finance path, working in hotels. Secondly, we have the student who was a food and beverage attendant in Northern Territory, went into operations, then went into marketing. So she went down the path of advertising, promotions for the hotel, how do you sell the rooms, how do you manage group contracts and all that. After that, less than 2 years later, she went into revenue, distribution management as well in Raffles, and now working in Marina Bay Sands as a revenue manager. And then finally, we have a student who did that corporate traineeship program, then went into the rooms division manager role. Just after 1 year, went into sales and marketing, then into revenue management, then into hotel manager, and less than 2 years later became the general manager in a hotel in Intercon Singapore. And within operations, the general manager position is actually the highest role you can get into operationally in a hotel. So you can see very, very diverse career paths that they've taken, but it's completely up to the student. If they're interested in marketing, there's no reason why they can't get into that, because essentially a hotel provides the avenue for them to get into these sort of other industries as well while they're in hotels. So for the fees, okay, so we always will waive the application fee, so that can be ignored, the $100 one. We have the tuition fee, which makes up the bulk of the fees, and they are paid on a term-by-term basis. So one term is 3 months. So 3 months would be 14,900 Aussie dollars. As I mentioned, in the Lura campus, we have the food and accommodation provided. So the fees are listed there as well. The room and boarding, one term, 5150. Add that all up, in the 2.5 years, you are paying 112,870. And this is inclusive of, so 2.5 years of study plus 1 year of food and accommodation. But because of the internships, so internships in Australia, as you know, the salary is a lot higher. Let me see if I have this. So internships, generally, you can see down at the last column, potential earnings, or the second last column. Okay. The average earnings, well, actually, this is actually the minimum earnings. For internship, it's 11,358. It's 11,000. And that's based on just working for 600 hours in 6 months, which is more than easily you can cover actually a lot more. Typically, you'll finish up 800 to 900 hours in 6 months easily. So in that case, you're looking at maybe 16,000 of potential earnings within just 6 months. And because you have 2 internships, so 32,000 of potential earnings within that whole internship period. So in that case, that will bring your costs down to actually just 67,000 for 2.5 years, plus 1 year of food and living in the Lura campus. Just very briefly as well, we have the master's program and the fees are 47. And we have the internship, so another 16,000, so that bring it down to about 30,000. And then the other columns here are the part-time earnings. So like 3,786, that's the 20 hours a week average pay for the 3 months. Okay, so we have the main scholarships here. Firstly, it's something called the 3 Pillars Scholarship. Basically, any student can apply for this. They just have to complete the application form, but also provide the cover letter. And these are the items which they'll have to address, submit their resume, reference letter from the teachers. So the more supporting documents, the better, so we can assess the student and potentially give a higher amount of scholarship as well. They are eligible to attain up to 20,000 Australian dollars for scholarship. So aside from that, we have the English language scholarship, which I mentioned. We offer English classes in our Lira campus. If they don't reach 6.0, if they get 5.5, for example, they have to take 10 weeks. But we offer 10 weeks free English classes. So essentially, if you have a student with 5.5, they can take our English class for free and then just join and just pay for their bachelor program. Thirdly, we have the industry scholarship. This is 15% discount on the entire tuition fees for the whole duration of the program. What they need to have is experience in hospitality. We are looking at least a year of experience, anything in hotels, restaurants, tour groups, event companies, airlines, and probably not the airlines because that would be a bit far-fetched for like a college or high school student, but definitely within hotels or restaurants. We actually do have another scholarship specifically for Malaysian students who have completed a diploma in Malaysia, which is actually 25% discount off of the bachelor program in Blue Mountains. So this one, essentially, if they're coming from Taylor's, Sunway, Inti, Segi, Berjaya, YTL, so these are the ones that we know for sure can apply for credit exemptions and be given credit exemptions in Blue Mountains. So these are confirmed the ones which will get 25% discount. If let's say they're coming from Reliance College, unfortunately, because I had a student there, but he applied for credit exemptions but didn't manage to get it due to the standard. From Reliance, it didn't match our standard in Blue Mountains in terms of the course syllabus. So he couldn't get the credit exemptions. So he wouldn't be able to get the 25% discount. So from any of the main colleges in Malaysia can get credit exemptions, can get the 25% discount on the entire tuition fees. Yes, so just to give you a glimpse of the wages in Australia, so the very minimum that as per the government that companies are supposed to pay you is $18.93 per hour. But on the weekdays, in hotels, they'll normally pay you about $21 per hour. Saturdays, it goes up to $26. Sundays, $32. And public holidays, $50 an hour. Oops. So based on this, the average monthly earning in hospitality is around $2,400 per month based on a full-time job. So 8 hours per day, 5 days a week. And this is enough to sustain a student's lifestyle, even in the major cities like Melbourne and Sydney, where the living costs are a bit higher as well. This is enough to cover your living expenses and also have enough to save as well. So as you can see, tourism is continuously booming in Australia, especially the main cities in like Sydney, more so Sydney than Melbourne. We are having a lot of an increase in Chinese tourists coming into the main cities. And to cater to that, there are a lot of 5-star, and these are the top of the top chains, 5-star luxury hotels opening in the coming future in Sydney. So we've got Crown Sydney, Ritz-Carlton, W, and the Porterhouse. So a lot more job opportunities will be open for the students. This will be around the time that they're there. So a lot of job opportunities, and that's it. Okay, let me put my card as well. Okay, so I'll pass it on to Kathy.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so for Q&A, you can actually type in the chat box if you have any questions unclear, especially about the scholarship or the course fee or the internship. Yeah, feel free to post those questions, and then we will spend about 10-15 minutes to answer those questions. Yeah. So I was actually in one of the Torrance campus in Sydney, and I was told that most of the students that study in Torrance, they actually go through the success coach. So would you be able to just tell us a little bit about the success coach, which I think is quite interesting for students?
Yes, so the success coaches, the concept has been there since the school began, which is about 20 years ago, but they actually revamped it so that now every student will actually do a strengths analysis test, something like a personality test, but instead of judging personality, it's judging your strengths and identifying your strengths. Could be observant or learning. So depending on, so this is not the do all and end all, but it helps the student to know what they're good at and what they'll be good in pursuing, so that it helps them to identify themselves a bit more. And it's just kind of also a fun way for the success coaches to get to know them. And so that's one part of it. But success coaches, what they do is also give support to the students in terms of their professional life as well. And as students, they may not have it yet because they're still students, but in that sense, they'll help to develop their professional portfolio. So even the smallest things like what you put on Facebook, because nowadays, headhunters or hotel hiring managers will skim through that side of your social media profile before they take you on as well. So and they host like workshops and seminars on also like LinkedIn. How do you develop that portfolio on social media? So yeah, and also helping them with their internships. For example, you can just go to them and be like, okay, I want to work in Hilton in Dubai. And then they'll be like, okay, you need to do this. Normally, we'll advise students to do the internships in Australia because they're already there. And if they want to go overseas as well, they'll also help them. But there's additional like visa things, which the student might have to do themselves. But in terms of setting up the interview and helping them with their resume and cover letter and maintaining that professional image. That's what we trained them.
I think the student also got an opportunity to get closer to the lecturers through this success coach, right? Yeah. So would you be able to share with us your experience since you are a student, was a student there before?
Yes. Yeah. So during my time, we actually didn't have success coaches. We just called them career advisors. So some of the new additions, which the success coaches are now implementing may not have been there when I was there. But in terms of the lecturers, definitely it's always an open door policy because we have a smaller size of students because we have one program. It's definitely much more face time that we get with the lecturer. So if you're a bit stuck on a particular topic or subject, or you feel you can't really progress further, definitely I feel the lecturers are a bit more, because we have a smaller size, they are more able to cater to the students and just like have the time to like listen to us and bounce ideas off of us. So even if we're stuck on an assignment, they're more than happy to just like guide me through like the different criteria which I need to fulfill and all that.
Okay. So do we have any questions at all? Feel free to post those questions because I know hospitality course is pretty common for students even in Malaysia. So the thing that they are concerned mostly would be the work opportunity, which I think Blue Mountains is really doing well to meet those needs. And also perhaps you like to share with us more on the students, the selling point of Blue Mountains as compared to other hospitality providers in Australia?
Yep.
What is the unique thing which other players do not have?
I'll probably say the first and foremost is our branding within the hotel industry. The feedback that we always get from employers, hotel employers, is that when you have the Blue Mountain student, immediately they'll know, okay, this is a Blue Mountain student. We know what to expect in terms of the high level of standard that they'll bring into the workplace, and the value that our students bring as well. In terms of also, when I was a student there and we had events like exhibitions or career fairs, we will see other students from other hotel schools. And just touching back on the image and the grooming, it was such a big difference because it was only then that I noticed, coming from Blue Mountains, we were all dressed in uniform, and like the other students were just wearing like casual clothes, didn't really like put their hair up properly and that sort of thing, even though there was no set dress code. But it made a difference because we were there to meet potential employers. We were there to meet, there was all of the hotel brands there, Hilton, Marriott, Starwood, and I noticed how different we were in terms of grooming and presentation. So I think that made me realize, okay, now this is why we wear uniform and we're so strict about, grooming and putting your name badge on and everything, because it does make a difference when you meet your future employers. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't think we have any questions so far. Maybe because it's pretty clear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll sum up a bit more as well about
sure.
the selling point. Sorry, that was just one part.
Okay.
So essentially, because we're only 2.5 years program, that's already shorter by 6 months than the remaining schools, which are normally a 3-year program for bachelors. So that's one point. But also because normally the hotel schools will only have one internship, which is good, but it's kind of not enough in a sense, because the student will only have one opportunity to get internship experience. It may be good or may be bad, but that's why we have 2 internships, so that they can choose, 2 different experiences if they want to, or one experience and go back to the same one. So that's gives them more opportunities. Yeah, having more opportunities. And we also have the on-campus accommodation, which most hotel schools also don't have. So that's another difference. Yeah. And basically, because with the on-campus accommodation, everyone is living there, and all of the students are hotel management students. So this will actually help them in their future career, because all your classmates, your roommate is working in hotels. 5 years, 10 years down the line, you're working in, let's say, Dubai. You want to transfer over to Hong Kong, and then you just remember, oh, I have a classmate who's actually working there now. So in that way, you've already established that connection when you're in school. So you can utilize that connection, that networking connection, to further escalate your career in that sense. So there's a lot of, yes, because of that environment in Lira campus, where all the students are living there, and it creates a deeper connection amongst themselves as well. It's kind of like a family environment. So it's very different to the mainstream schools where you just go to class and then come home. So that will help them in their future. I think that's about it.
And I was just browsing your brochure, right?
Mm-hmm.
I saw that there's actually Melbourne campus.
Yes.
So
Yes.
would the students be able to choose the location in Melbourne?
So the Melbourne campus is only for our master students.
A master student.
Yeah.
Okay. So if they start with the diploma and then progresses with the bachelor's degree, they are able to actually experience 2 different campuses, one at the Laura campus and another one is the Sydney campus. Is that right?
Actually, they don't have to. They just sign up for the bachelor program, and then automatically they'll do Lira internship, Sydney.
Okay. So let us know if you have any potential students that you like us to help you to counsel or give more information. Yeah. So
I'm based in KL, so definitely very easy for me to just come over.
Yep. So we will be glad to provide and assist you with your student any inquiries. Now the students are having exams, but anyhow, if you have any questions at all, feel free to get in touch with us. So yeah, we're ending early. So thank you for your time for the participation and keep in touch. Thank you
you.
for
Yes.
Natalie as well.
Thank you, Kathy,
Yeah.
for organizing and for all of you for attending and paying attention.
Okay.
There's some chat.
Yeah. So. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, we'll send the slides to you.
Yeah. Thank you.